Welcome back, everybody. This is the part 2 of the Cholly Rock history, and we're talking about all the kind of hip hop history being told, and it's absolutely mind-blowing stuff. And on part 2, we're going to be talking about the elements of hip hop, how it kind of evolved with the first, the second, and the third element. We're going to be talking about Beat Street. We're going to be talking about Wild Style. We're going to be talking about how hip hop become, like a global phenomenon that's lasted over 40 odd years. So we're going to be talking about all that good stuff. And please subscribe to this channel. Also check out part 1, and I've got part 3 and part 4's on the way. Peace. I'm really excited to talk about this next question. We're going to kind of talk about like the block parties and the park jams. They was literally popping off all over the place. So who was DJing, in the early years of the park jams and the block parties? Break it down in terms of like the DJs, because I know Disco King Mario, Kool DJ Herc, Bam, Flash, DJ Clark Kent, DJ Smokey and the Smokertrons, DJ Zambo, DJ Red Alert, Kool DJ D, DJ Breakout, DJ Sinbad, DJ Phase, Jazzy Joyce, Grand Wizard Theodore, Tyrone the Mixologist, Mr. Magic, Grandmaster DST, Wizkid, Jimmy Jazz, Jazzy J. There's so many that we can name. But Cholly,
and the ones that you did name that are not as known, but b-boying as you know it, as far as I'm concerned, because we were in the burning era at first, like doing the burning and everything. And the first people I saw really spinning and doing that thing was Clark Kent and the Twins, okay, and James Bond. And those were at cool Herc parties. This is what was going on. We were going to places like the Hevelo, the Executive Playhouse. We were going to cool Herc parties because Herc parties were an event. And that's why he's the father.
And who was in the, Cholly, who was in the Herculoids as well?
Okay, first of all, the Herculoid was
Herculoids, yeah.
It was the name of his sound system. It wasn't the name of his crew. That kind of evolved later on, where it said the Herculoids and the Herculoids. I guess it's the bastardization of it. But the Herculoid was his sound system.
Wow, I never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, his sound system. And, even when he was MCing, they were talking over the mic and saying, we like to call like the sound system, we like to call the Herculoid. And it was his sound system. His sound system was massive.
I was going to say, didn't Kool DJ Herc, didn't he have like the wicked pounding bass sound system?
Yes. And that is the Herculoid. That's what it is. It's a sound system. Like I said, as people went on and, again, people tell the stories and, change stuff. And then all of a sudden the Herculoid became his crew or something. But the Herculoid was the name of his sound system. That's what it was. And Herc's crew consisted of Herc, Coke LaRock, his MC. We consider Coke the first hip hop MC. All right. Clark Kent, they were B-boys, Clark Kent, the Twins. And Clark became Herc's protege DJing. And a guy named Timmy Tim, who people don't talk about. And Timmy passed away. But people, if you were there, you know about Timmy. Okay. So Timmy Tim, that was their crew. All right. And a Herc party was an event, especially if you were a B-boy, right? And you really were serious about it, because you had cats who messed with it and did some little toy moves. But if you were serious about it, you felt you were good or you really were into it, you had to go to a cool Herc party. And it was an event, like, we're somewhere like, yo, Herc's going to be here. Yo, Herc's playing here. Herc playing at the PAL, Webster PAL. Herc's playing at Columbus Boys Club. In the park, Herc's playing in Cedar Park, or Herc's playing, and so that was the thing. We went, and particularly us, my crew, the Gun Hill crew, because we're uptown. You know what I mean? Like I said, so we're in the Northeast Bronx, so we're traveling down these things because you had more of the disco cats up that way at the time. And most of the cats who became hip hop DJs of our age were B-boys first, like DST, Breakout, all of us, or MCs to myself. We were B-boys. So we were going to cool Herc parties. And, you know, that was the place to be. A Herc event was like, you know, Herc was the name. He was the premier DJ. He was it. He was, you know, the first celebrities of what comes to be known hip hop are the DJs and the B-boys. The MC really wasn't an important piece of it yet.
That's exactly what I was going to. That's exactly what I was going to say to you, Charlie. Would you say the first element, if you want to talk about elements of hip hop, is first DJing, secondly b-boying, third like MCing, and maybe fourth the graph might come into it a bit later?
Okay, there are going to be people who don't like my comment, but other people believe it as well. I have personally never considered graffiti an element of hip hop.
Yeah.
It got merged into it later on.
Yeah.
And first of all, graffiti was its own culture, its own art form that existed before us.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Over in Washington Heights. Yeah.
Well, all over. There were a lot of people involved with graffiti. A lot of the major cats who were graffiti, who were writers at the time, were white. Black, white, and Puerto Rican. And a lot of white kids, people who had never had anything to do with hip hop or b-boy music or any of that. Okay, but they were writers, and I knew about graffiti and writing long before anything connecting to Herc or hip hop. I mean, as an elementary school kid, I had a friend, my boy Michael Pasteur, and me and him were in elementary school, and he used to sneak out of his house and go hit the trains and whatnot. I used to write Little Kool or something of that nature. But you know, graffiti was in existence well before, and it was a separate thing. Did you have people who were involved with hip hop, the b-boys who were also graffiti artists? Sure. You know what I mean? Who tagged or whatever. Yeah, but it was a separate thing. To say that is, to me, in my thinking, to say that you had a lot of people who were involved with b-boy and hip hop who played basketball. Most of us did. Basketball is not an element of hip hop. Is it? No. Separate thing. And that's how I feel about graffiti. It was its own separate culture, and that's not knocking it.
No. And
they existed well before us. They were doing their thing. They were already, you know. And the graffiti narrative really gets merged really in the 80s, particularly with Bambaataa. That's his doing, to be honest. And it really got merged because in the early 80s, Bam and him started going down to the village. And I'm there. I'm a Zulu kid, so I'm down there with him as well. And the art scene and graffiti was really starting to emerge in the art scene as a legitimate art form. Remember, before it's just these vandals, you know?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, it's emerging as a legitimate art scene. And now the white hipsters are getting a hold of it. And they're presenting these guys who were vandals a minute ago. Now they're artists. And they're doing their thing. And of course, you get Keith Haring, and John Michel Basquiat, Fat Five Freddy, all these different people, you know, are starting to merge. And as part of their art form, they would have these art shows and have music. And Bambaataa was the DJ. And then they also merge into these guys called Rocksteady, who were the guys who really started picking up the b-boy mantle when we had left it. We were old, you know, we were 18, you know, by the time 78 come, we've left it alone, we're doing whatever. The Puerto Rican dudes kept it going. They're the bridge. They are the bridge that brings it from where we stopped in 78 into 1980, 81, you know, 79, 80, 81 with rocking. That's what they're talking about, the rocking and all that. And then Rocksteady and them, they kind of take what they call the Moreno dance, the Cocolo dance, which is what we have been doing to B-boys. And then they introduce linoleum, cardboard, and everything like that. And they're in the streets and white people see them doing it. And it's like, oh, you know, it's like this new thing, which isn't new. We've been doing this shit since 1975, 74.
Oh, really, yeah.
Burning era. 73, the early cats like Trixie, Dancing Doug Cologne, all those cats. They're in the burning. They're the first guys at the Herc party. They're at the early Herc parties. All right. And so as this transitions, the Puerto Rican kids really take it to another level. And particularly with linoleum cardboard, now they start doing the head spins. They start doing the back spins. And that's what you see now. So that's the evolution. But it had been already started. The seeds of it had already started with us in the mid 70s. You know what I mean? And it just, like I said, they picked it up. So you always have to give them credit for that. That's who really And then they became the dominant force and culture in it. But that comes, like I said, the late 70s, early 80s. And so Rocksteady is down there. That's when I first heard of them. I'm down in the village at a band party at Danceteria. And I'm hearing these dudes about Rocksteady and these white people, they're there. And it's an art show, and Bam is playing in Africa Islam with Jazzy J. And I had already made Cash Money by that time. We'll talk about that a little later on. And so I'm down there, and I'm hearing them talk about Red Alert is down there. Red Alert made Jazzy Sensation, and we're all, close and tight. And so all of a sudden I hear all these people, rock, steady, rock, steady, rock, steady. I'm like, who the hell's rock steady? And I see these Puerto Rican kids back, and they're doing their thing. And I'm like, oh shit, they're B-boys. And I'm looking at, but they, like I said, it's moved to another level. That, like, wow, cool, But that is how the graffiti scene merges into hip hop. You know what I mean? So it was not like the way they do the narrative, you would think like it was all merged, and like we were at parties in the 70s and these dudes are tagging in the background while the DJ, it's bullshit. That's not true. You know what I mean? That's a romanticized version of it. And then Beat Street kind of helped propel that narrative too, because Beat Street, that's my man Steve Hagen. I'm in Steve Hagen's first article on hip hop. I'm in his first article. And in fact, and you can ask him this, he'll tell you. He actually has a screenplay that he never did where one of his characters is named after me.
Wow.
And yeah. And there's always been a speculation the character of Charlie in Beat Street was inspired by me when he met me. Because we used to talk and, he interviewed me. And like I said, I'm in his first interview. Afrika Bambaataa Hip Hop. And you'll see it. It's, you can Google it or whatever. It's there. And I'm quoting it.
So many legends in one film because you had everyone in Beat Street.
Well, Wild Style.
Of course, Wild Style as well.
Wild Style before Beat Street. And, that's real. Wild Style is probably more authentic in regards to what we were doing. You know what I mean? But Beat Street, yeah, definitely. And also Kool Herc, everybody. But Flash, for example, is in Wild Style.
Yeah.
My girl Lisa Lee in Wild Style. She's in Beat Street with my girl Sha Rock.
Sorry, Charlie, you're totally right. I mean, Wild Style, there was so many legends as well, without a doubt. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the early, like, before it really started running mainstream. So you got to get Wild Style. That's really the movie that breaks it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Beat Street puts it more into the mainstream, but it's much more fantasized. Wild Style is more true to more authentic to what we were actually doing.
I'll tell you the way I broke it down for myself. I mean, I got into obviously I was hearing rap records like Sugar Hill Gang, Curtis Blow in 1979. But it wasn't really until 1982 hearing tracks like Planet Rock, Scorpio, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious, like The Message. That's when it really started to kind of spark. And then in 1983 you had the Buffalo Girls video, and also Wild Style as well, the film Wild Style. That's when things were really beginning to kind of kick off. And then obviously in 1984 you had Beat Street, you had the Subway Art Book. 1985 you had Star Wars, and it was all kind of gradually getting bigger and bigger. Yeah,
because now it's hitting the mainstream. You know what I mean? Like as you had said earlier, we were an underground kind of culture. Most blacks weren't involved in it. We were our own little segment. We're not even talking about, most people at all. Like I said, black and Puerto Rican, but it was a segment of us, like more the street kids who were running around, and everything like that. We were doing it. White people didn't know anything about us at all. You know what I mean? At all. Unless you were a white dude who hung with us, like I said, like a black spit, like a Perky, who was with us. You know what I mean? So he's exposed to it. He knows about it. But the white community mainstream didn't know anything about what we were doing. Not at all. So as the 80s come, and like I said, the art scene merges with it, and then the movies come out. And what rap did was it monetized the culture. It created a commercial value to it. And that is when other people who didn't want anything to do with it in the beginning. Now, you know what I mean? Because there's a dollar sign in it. So now they're coming into it. You know what I mean? And that's why when they make these claims now, we're like, come on, dude, get out of here. You didn't want nothing to do with us. Rap is the commercial arm of hip hop. And that is what created the industry. You see what I mean? That's what created the industry. Turn street kids into millionaires. You know what I mean? Basically. And that is where it takes off. And that is the reason, though, that people primarily associate the culture of hip hop, or conflate it, more important, really, to be very honest, with rap. They see rap as hip hop. Rap is the commercial wing of it. And it's the thing that got more entrepreneurial individuals involved in it. Like I said, it created the money aspect of it. And once money comes in, everybody wants a piece of the pie. You know what I mean? And so that's really where it takes off, as you said, with the rap records, because now it's commercial. There's money to be made. There's commerce. You know what I mean? And once commerce comes into something, it changes everything. I'll tell you a story. This is a true story. One of the reasons that I left the Soul Sonic Force, didn't really leave it, so to speak, I went away to college. Okay, I went to SUNY New Paltz College. This is in the beginning of 1979. All right, and you see me on flyers in 78, like before it's even Soul Sonic. I'm a very early member. Okay, and I went away to school, and I was MCing up there. I really brought MCing up to Poughkeepsie and up to New Paltz, because still was that they're more disco, and I'm still the disco style, really, the radio style, Baby Doll, Yes Indeed. The hip hop style is a different form of rap, but that's the form that caught on. That's why Sugar Hill became commercially successful. That's not the first rap record. And I'm not talking about Pygmy Marketing, and I don't consider those rap records. They are comedy records where a guy was rhyming, you know what I mean? Rap record, as far as actual it being that, is King Tim III. And if you listen to King Tim III by Fatback, that is the original style of MCing. There was the disco style. You know what I mean? That's the style we were all doing, the radio with the baritone voice and everything like that. Melly Mel and the three MCs, Melly Mel, Kid Creole, and Cowboy, Keith Wiggins, may he rest in peace, my man. They're the ones who really bring in the hip hop style of MCing, the sing-song or rhyming style of MCing.
Yeah, because they're incredible, Charlie, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and that really starts with them. And particularly they used to do the three MCs, they used to do a routine to Samande, Bra, Doom, Doom. And that's where they started doing the rhyming MC. And then around 78-ish, they come out with the rhyming Ike and Mikey. Right? Now, Ike and Mikey's a nursery rhyme the kids been saying forever. Ike and Mikey, but they came and did it on the mic. Then Cowboy, my man William Young, is getting ready to go to the service. And Cowboy's at a party, and he starts, 1, 2, hip hop, and that's where it gets into rhyme. But hip hop in and of itself was really initially a reference to us as b-boys, because we bounced up and down. It was a pejorative kind of a term, because they called us floor sweepers, rabbits, boyoing, yo-yos, and hippity hoppers. You know what I mean? And these were the people who really didn't like what we were doing. They, looked down on us. And
so Charlie, hippity hop, you like hippity hop, like, because you kind of bouncing around on your feet.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah. And then of course, Cowboy makes it popular in rhyme with the story with William was a friend of mine, his brother, going to the military. So once King Tim III, if you listen to that, that's the original style. So when they start doing the Ike and Mikey, that style lends itself more to a youthful crowd and a youthful voice. The disco style, if you notice, everybody in that style has more of a baritone voice. You hear my voice now, right? I sounded like this at 15. I had a deep voice. You know what I mean?
Deep sounding voice, right,
yeah. A different tenor to my voice. And a different pitch. So, when I'm doing, so it fit that style, and like I'm well-spoken and, all those kind of things. So my exemplar was a guy, Starsky, first of all, and a guy named JJ the Disco King, who was the MC for Kool, DJD, and Tyrone. And he would be like, yes, you got your Downs and Baby Dolls, JJ the Disco King, is it on? Like popcorn, is it on? You see, the voice is different. It's a baritone kind of thing.
Yeah, quite bassy, yeah.
Yeah, like Hank Spann, like Frankie Crocker. It's that style. You know what I mean? Most kids don't have that voice. You know what I mean? Especially male, your voice crack, whatever. The rhyming style is more about lyricism. The voice isn't as important. Okay, now Melly Mel had that voice. That's why he started MCing. He has a baritone voice, but then he brings the rhyming style into it, and boom, that is the style that catches on with the younger crowd, which is the hip hop style. And so, you know, like I said, you had King Tim III. I personally love that. That's my style. I love that. And I remember, and I'll tell you a story, and this is a true story. I told you I went away to college. And during the summer, I did a party up in Albany, New York, at a place called Falcons Nest, which was owned by a guy named Tiki Burden, who used to play for the New York Knicks. And so me and my boy, Spider Clark, who was my DJ partner up in New Paltz College, and I'm MCing at clubs called Jackson's Lounge. I'm MCing at parties at colleges over there, Marist College. My DJ partners in Jackson's Lounge was a cat named Honeybee, Cecil Hutchinson, who was out of Brooklyn. And he went to Dutchess Community College. And my man, Mikey Green. Mikey Green today is the guy who is one of the owners and founders of, along with my man, Daryl Hicks of Black and Gold Productions. That's Mikey. And he was my DJ partner. Him and Honeybee were DJ partners, Mikey G. And I was their MC. And like I said, they didn't, you know, when we started doing our thing there, we really put Jackson's on the map. All the colleges were coming to Jackson's in the area. Marist College, Dutchess College, Vassar and Poughkeepsie, New Paltz. And I'm doing my thing up there. So we're rocking. We're making commercials. We're doing our thing. And so I'm up there MCing and doing all that stuff. And when I came home for the summer, I'm in Bronx River, you know, Zulu King, all that. And we're on a bus ride and somebody comes to me and says, yo, Charlie, did you make a record? I'm like, what are you talking about? Yo, there's this dude sound just like you. Bah, 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 bah. I'm like, really? And yeah, you got to hear this, man. And it's King Tim III. It's King Tim III.
So your voices were so kind of similar.
Oh yeah, it was that style. And like I told you, we were doing the party at the Falcons Nest, and these dudes came up to me and they hear me jamming, and they're like, "Yo," and I said, "You know what? Somebody should really put this on a record." And this, that, and the other. And I looked at him and I thought it was a stupid idea to show you how smart I am. I'm like, right, you know. And I really thought accurately. I said, first of all, if they do that, it's going to ruin everything because it's going to become very commercial. And that's what I said. Genius I am. So, but that's a true story. That happened to me in the Falcon Nest. I come back, that's in May. In the summertime, like I said, people come with King Tim III. I'm like, oh, to the beat, everybody, just clap your hands and you stomp your feet, you know. And that's King Tim III. And that's the style we're rocking. Don't stop till you get on the mountaintop, that kind of thing. Then, September, I go back to school, and I'm at the club in Jackson's, and we hear this record. To the hip, hop, hibbit, the hibbit, hibby, hip, hip, hop, and don't stop. Bang, bang, boogie, see, up, jump, the boogie, do the boogie, do the boogie, beat. And that is Rapper's Delight. And we're like, okay. And next thing you know, boom. Everything changes and takes off. Everybody who's MCing now wants to be a recording artist. And all the people who are entrepreneurs, the Bobby Robinson, the Joy Records, Tommy Boy, all those things, Paul Winley, who are already business type people. They see, you know, Sylvia Robinson, they see the money. And now something that they had no interest in, just, you know, street kid shit, they see a chance to capitalize on it. And that's where all these other people start coming into it and it takes off and hip hop becomes the industry and rap that it is today. But that's how that all really evolved and started. you know? So now it's merging, and then you have people like Flash, Grandmaster Caz, who, as you know, of course, the story, those are Caz's rhymes in Rapper's Delight, because Hank used to be the bouncer at the Ecstasy Garage, which was a little hip-hop club he used to have, and he went to Caz and said, yo, listen, you know, and I guess Caz said, yeah, sure, you know, not thinking that this is going to be, or thinking he's going to break him off or whatever. Caz tells the story. But those are Caz, even when he says it, and we said that, because when we heard the rhyme, he's spelling Casanova Fly's name, but we didn't connect it. But we knew that because Grandmaster Caz's original name is Casanova Fly. I knew Caz. We used to play ball in Roberto Clemente State Park when he wasn't Caz. When none of us were doing it. I was a b-boy already, dancing at Herc party. But his name, he used to call himself Doc, because he used to play basketball. And we used to go to play ball in Roberto Clemente. That's how I met Caz. And, you know, like I said, we were all playing basketball. None of us were thinking about it. Like I said, other than going to Herc parties and dancing and b-boy and hearing the music. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when we're listening to Rapper's Delight, and he's talking about, I'm the CASS, the NOVA, and the F is FLY, that, I'm like, that's Casanova Fly. You know what I mean? I'm in my head, I'm like, and then I just smell whatever. And so now, of course, this phenomenon takes off, Rapper's Delight, right? But now you got cats like Flash, Melly Mel, and everybody who've been MCing, myself, other people, not just me, you know, and everybody been MCing. And we're like, yo, and these guys, you gotta remember, the Sugar Hill Gang, they weren't MCs. They weren't within, you know what I mean? They weren't established. Dave Sylvia saw them, you know, almost like a prefabricated group, like the Monkees. You know, she created the group specifically to sell these records. You know what I'm saying? And great idea. You know what I mean? And the story actually goes, who she wanted at first, was interested at first, was Love Bug Starsky. But she didn't use him because Starsky had a list. Like, if you ever listen to Starsky, I mean, once again, it's Starsky. You know, he has a list. And it goes to his style. But she didn't want it because of that list. And so she created this group, and that's how the Sugar Hill Gang was formed. But they weren't a rap group like Flash and all of us. We know we were already crews who existed, like, you know, Soul Sign and everything like that, you know? So that's kind of how that all takes place, and, you know, the rest is history, as they say.
Well, thanks for watching part 2. The hip-hop history runs deep from day one. Now, you know, as I say, this is some of the most detailed hip-hop history I've heard. So please share this interview around the socials, and also subscribe to this channel. Press subscribe, and also check out part 1 when Cholly breaks down, you know, the history of the Black Spades, and also talks about the burning of, you know, the South Bronx and what it was like to live in the Bronx in the 1970s, and also touching on cool Herc parties. And we're also going to be going into part 3 shortly. We're going to be talking about, you know, the fine detailing in, you know, the birth of b-boying. We're going to be talking about the dance, the burning dance, the freak dance, Disco's King Mario's snake dance, as well as the cool DJ Herc parties, Disco King Mario jams, the Grandmaster Flash parties, and also, you know, talk about the D Squad, Melly Mel, where Melly Mel was like an original b-boy, and apparently Melly Mel was like an absolute nasty, like wicked b-boy. And we're going to be talking a lot more. So please check out part 1. Thanks for watching part 2, and also please join me shortly for part 3, and there's going to be a part 4. Peace.